Good evening, Cedar Falls. Welcome to our regular council meeting for Monday, March 6th, 2023. I'll now call this meeting to order with a roll call from Madam Clerk.
Schultz.
Here.
DeBoer.
Here.
Cruz.
Here.
Harding.
Here.
Gamfield.
Here.
Sires.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
All members present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And now I'll lead the council in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And now I'll lead us for approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the regular meeting of February 20th?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and Madam Clerk, do we have any agenda revisions tonight?
I have no agenda revisions, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And I do have a request from council. I didn't mention this earlier. We have representatives for Women's History Month, and I asked if we might move their item. It was supposed to be item 8 on the agenda. I'd ask if we might move that forward to the front for an approval of that item so that we can issue the proclamation before moving to other business. Does council have any objection to that?
No.
Okay, thank you. So item 8 on the agenda is approving a proclamation recognizing March 2023 as Women's History Month. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that does pass, and that allows me to sign this proclamation. I'm very happy to do here. If I could be joined by Julie Kliegel. Come forward, Nina. Julie's representing the Human Rights Commission tonight. Thank you so much for being here with us. Let's start out here. So, reading the proclamation, we come around this way here. Whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of Cedar Falls in countless ways, and whereas the City of Cedar Falls encourages and promotes strong and inclusive communities that recognize and celebrate efforts to bring together people for the greater good and to highlight the many threads in our fabric that make it a strong and whole community, and women play a critical economic, cultural, and societal role in every sphere of life in Cedar Falls. And whereas Women's History Month had its origins as a national celebration in 1981, when Congress authorized and requested the President to proclaim the week beginning March 7, 1982 as Women's History Week, and was later designated by Congress in March 1987 as Women's History Month. And whereas the National Women's History Alliance has designated this year's theme as Celebrating Women Who Tell Our Stories, to encourage the recognition of women who have been active in all forms of media and storytelling and who have devoted their lives and talents to producing art and news, pursuing truth, and reflecting society decade after decade. And whereas women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist, emancipation, industrial labor, civil rights, and peace movements, which have created a more fair and just society for all. And whereas, despite these contributions, the role of women has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in literature, leadership, in teaching, and the study of American history, and it is therefore fitting that we recognize their numerous accomplishments. Now, therefore, I, Robert M. Green, Mayor of Cedar Falls, acting in the name of the City Council, do hereby proclaim March 2023 as Women's History Month in the City of Cedar Falls, and I encourage all citizens to learn about and appreciate the rich history of many dynamic women leaders, community servants, entrepreneurs, business professionals, educators, and others who have made their influence felt and constructed the path for the city that we are today. Signed this 6th day of March 2023, Mayor Robert M. Green. So wish you congratulations.
Thank you very much. And on behalf of the Cedar Falls Human Rights Commission, I'm very happy to accept this proclamation. Can I take a moment to tell you about an event we have coming up to celebrate women's history?
Certainly. If you'd like to come around the podium here.
So the Cedar Falls Human Rights Commission is sponsoring an event on March 28th at the Public Library, and we will be honoring 3 women who've made significant contributions to Cedar Falls in this area, including Stacy Benson, CEO of Community Bank and Trust, Dr. Linda Fitzgerald, a professor emeritus at the University of Northern Iowa in early childhood education, and Christy Analt, a reference librarian at the Cedar Falls Public Library. And in addition to that, after we honor those women for their contributions, we will also have Dr. Emily Machen, a professor of history from the University of Northern Iowa, giving a talk to us, and it is entitled Beauty, Freedom, and Community in Interwar Europe. She is a specialist in the European history between the 2 great wars and is going to talk about the evolving role of women during those times and how there are some parallels to today's current times as well. It should be fun and lighthearted, and we'll also have time within an hour-long event to do a little bit of women's history trivia. So if you happen to be in the community, we invite all of you and all Cedar Falls residents to come celebrate Women's History Month with us at the library. And there are some posters outside that you can pick up on your way out if you want to remind yourself of when to come and put it on your calendar. So thank you very much, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Green.
Can you repeat that date for us one more time?
March 28th, 6:30 at the Public Library.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your coming to celebrate this with us tonight, and happy Women's History Month.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have no other special presentations tonight, so I'll take us into public forum where speakers will have one opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes on topics relevant to city business. Does anyone from the public wish to speak on an item not on the agenda tonight?
Good evening, Council. Rosemary Beach, 5018 Sage Road, Western Home Communities. I am back to talk about restrooms. Would you guess that? This piece came out with our last newspaper, and I just wanted, for some people who don't get the paper, to read some of this. Cedar Falls downtown feels like home. And this is Kim Bear has done the article. And I'm just going to skip through a bunch of it, and if you get a chance, I'd appreciate you reading the whole thing. But when they were trying to decide about what they were going to put in the paper, I take it, they said to themselves as a group, what is it just about the little things here in Cedar Falls? As we sat back and discussed the little things, it became apparent, like most things in life, that it's the little things that make the biggest difference. So I'm skipping, I have to say that because it's a long article. But right now, let's focus on the little things. And she goes through a bunch, and you get down here, it's the orange couch in the front window that's always full. It's the new windows with stools facing Main Street. It's new flavors of tea. It's finding the perfect gift no matter who or where what you're buying for. And someday I'd like to say underneath this, and the new restrooms. I'd like to have that listed in this by next year, that we could add that to it, that we are a big enough, great enough community, we could have new restrooms. So, and on to, we know Santa will arrive down here. And in 2023, you will still see the little things that make the Cedar Falls downtown district what it is. So I'm taking her words. I think she meant every one of them. And I think we should take that as kind of our mantra. Is it mantra or mantra? I don't know. Anyway, and I want to add one other thing. I noticed on TV has been a big, not advertising, but knowledge, that now the restrooms going through the state of Iowa are going to have full-length adult changing tables in them. Am I correct? Have you all seen that in the news? Instead of a baby changing table, they're going to put in their restrooms along the roads in Iowa a full piece for adult changing. And I think you all need to think more about our community of elderly people. We need all the help we can get. We need that kind of looking for. We need the help of pushing that door that opens up long enough to get your walker and your bottom end through it, and easy enough that you don't have to stand there and wait for somebody to open the door for you. So I'm asking you again to make it a priority. I haven't really asked anything. I'm asking for a priority that we look at. There have to be rules and regulations out there about some of that, and I don't know where to find them, and I don't have them. But I'm sure there are, the door only has to weigh so much or something of that nature. And I think we could do better, as I said before. So I probably, as I said, and Simon said last time, you probably will be back next time. I don't know any other way to do this but to come and ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beach. Does anyone else wish to speak in public forum tonight? Yes, please, Mr. Fine. Just name and address for the record, please, sir. Great to have you here with us tonight.
TJ Frine, 1319 Austin Way. We've had several council members and the mayor himself talk about not being reelected or not seeking reelection this November. So I think it'd be a wise time, I guess, for the council to take a look at maybe hiring consultants. If we have a new mayor who has no mayor experience, maybe we could spend $100,000 and have Mayor Rob Green or somebody available by phone for a year. I think it'd be a wise investment. Same thing with council members. Find a long-standing council member that's interested in it, and they too can be available by phone and collect a city council member's salary for a year. Again, a couple wise investments maybe for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fine.
Sign me up.
Does anyone else wish to speak in public forum tonight? Seeing none, then I will close the public forum and bring us over to staff updates and ask if Mr. Gaines has any updates for us tonight you'd like to share.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to ask Stephanie Sheets to actually give us an update on some things we're doing to try to encourage citizens out there to maybe apply for some of our summer jobs that we have, putting on a career fair. So I'll let her do that.
So we're looking forward to a career fair that we're going to be hosting on Saturday, April 15th. It will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Public Works Complex. And as Mr. Gaines said, we're looking at this kind of, the impetus for it was how to recruit for some of our seasonal jobs, particularly the summer jobs, to make sure that we have enough employees to run the falls, to mow the grass at the parks and all of that. But we're also opening it up to all of our jobs and just being available to answer any questions that people might have about part-time or full-time jobs. But our emphasis is about our seasonal positions, lifeguards, swim instructors, maintenance crew, that type of thing. But we'd encourage anybody to come out on Saturday, April 15th from 10 to 2 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Any others, Mr. Gaines? Okay. I just want to note, I forgot to mention in our morning meeting about having staff back in City Hall now. So last week we had our big move in. So we're now primarily, I think it's all out of Union Road, correct? Everything's here now in the building. And we are still working to schedule an open house and a ribbon cutting in the next couple of weeks. So give everybody a chance to take a tour of the building and see the remodel. So with that, if no other staff updates, I'll move us over to special order of business, where item 2 is a hearing on the proposed condemnation of property located at 2208 Coventry Lane. Madam Clerk, do we have any written communications filed for this item?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And for oral comments tonight, we'll be led off by Jamie Castle as our building official. So, Ms. Castle, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On February 15th, we inspected 2208 Coventry Lane, and we determined that that needed to come forth for a potential condemnation. This property has been a nuisance for several years, and that's what brought us to have this inspection. So on 15th, we had a inspection with an administrative search warrant. We had 3 council members as part of the committee. Myself, fire chief, and Blackhawk County Health were there, along with the code enforcement officer. Some history of the nuisance. Since at least 2013, potentially longer, but what I have documented is since 2013, we've had to mow the grass and maintain the lawn of this property at least once a year. This past year, I believe we mowed it 3 times. In 2018, a citation was issued for the building and property maintenance. There were multiple complaints about the siding and the soffit being down, and that animals were getting into the attic. At that time, the owner did attend the court hearing and was found guilty. She did abate the nuisance, but as you see on this list, a couple years later, we had the same issue again. The same areas were opened up. We're not 100% sure that it was actually properly corrected. Had another citation, went to court, and again, she was found guilty. At this point, the nuisance has not been abated. The complaints have continued, specifically regarding rodents and the maintenance of the house. There have been a lot of complaints about raccoons and the noise of the raccoons and concerns that they will be actually entering other homes. When the code enforcement officer went to approach the home and talk about the potential nuisance, as we hadn't gotten responses to our letters, he noticed that the inside of the home looked like there were some concerns, and that's why we formed the committee. We wanted to have the ability to enter the home, find out exactly what state the home was in, and see what was happening from the exterior maintenance issues. The attic was opened. We didn't know how that affected the interior. And this is what we found. This is the exterior. This is what we've been able to see from all along. You can see that the front porch soffit and the around the perimeter of the house has many areas where the soffit is removed, and you can see right into the attic. On the first picture on the left, you can also see there's quite a bit of dirt. You can't tell really well from this picture, but they're actually footprints from raccoons going into the attic there. And this area is the area that was of most concern the first citation, and it has just continued to be a problem. On the picture on the far right, I don't know how well you'll be able to notice, but there's a very large bulge in the siding. We don't know if there's something stuck in the siding or if there's actually structural issues from the moisture getting into the attic. Once we did enter the home, we did find it that's very insanitary. There's piles of trash, there's piles of debris, there's just a lot of concern about what we found on the floor, what we were walking through, what was being stored, items that should be in the trash and were out, including food remnants and so forth. We were unable to access the stairs. You can see that the picture on the right is heading down to the basement. In that area, all the trash was on the stairs and you could not actually get down into the basement, so we're not 100% sure what the condition of the basement is. The middle picture is the kitchen, and then on the far right, that is actually a space heater. We determined that the furnace was not working and there were multiple space heaters running in the home. The owner was not home at the time, but the space heaters were running. One of them was actually sparking. And so that's a major fire hazard. It was sitting on top of piles of papers and was sparking. And we did turn it off at that time because we had concerns not knowing when the homeowner would be back. So what we're asking is that the city council declare this property a nuisance. Once it's declared a nuisance, we're asking that the city council requires it to be abated. We would like by 4 o'clock on March 20th to either have the nuisance abated or have a viable plan submitted to the city. The viable plan should list dates and times and what will require the completion of cleaning up the property. One thing to note that I forgot to mention during the pictures is after we left the property, because we realized there was no water, we did confirm with Cedar Falls Utilities, and there's not been any water or sewer to the property since December of 2019. The property owner would not allow them in to read the meter, so they shut off the water. So it is not only a concern about the trash, but there's no proper water or sewer. So that would be one of the items that we'd want to be addressed. If the owner fails to complete either option of the viable plan or abating the nuisance, City Council grants city staff to have the nuisance abated, which potentially would be demolition of the property. Sorry, I forgot to skip to this page, but this lists all the items that we're looking for with a viable plan. The trash and debris removed, the property repaired, property inspected. I'm not sure how long the attic has been open and if that has created any structural issues. I do have concerns of that for as many years as it's been open to the elements. So, any questions?
All right, well, thank you, Ms. Castle. I'll hold the oral or the questions from council until we go into the resolution. But does the property owner wish to speak tonight? Evening, ma'am.
I had a depression problem, well, whatever, after my mother died with the whatever, and before I got on thyroid medicine, and then a few years ago I fell and the left hip didn't work very well, and I'm getting back together again. I didn't know who to contact. And then someone suggested that Northeast area for the aging, Northeast Iowa area for the aging could help. And they did tell me, where to contact people for help. And I'm on the way. I hope you'll give me time to fix it up, and with depression kinds of things, I've been involved in civic things. I've got to stop doing that more. I mean, that part's fixed, right? And I'm making some progress. I will work with the city, and I hope you'll work with me.
That's great to hear, Ms. Walker.
Thank you. And then I was going to say, I keep my health good. I mean, through the pandemic, I figured number one priority is stay out of the hospital. Somebody young and with a life ahead of them might have need the hospital bed, right? And so I have done that. I'm a blood donor, and when I said that to the correction officer, whatever he kind of just rolled his eyes. But I've given over 43 gallons of blood. I give, every couple of months through the pandemic before the vaccine as well, because I figured that was more important, because a lot of people weren't, because they were scared to get out there. I wore my mask and showed up. I corrected high cholesterol with diet, and I hope you'll work with me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Walker. So with that, I'll consider the hearing closed and bring us over to Part C. And after talking with the city attorney, I'd like to split this up under Rule 514 of our council rules. We can divide a question containing distinct propositions. I'd ask if the council doesn't object. I'd like to have the motion brought forward to declare the property located at 2208 Coventry Lane as a nuisance due to being structurally unsafe, a fire hazard, or otherwise dangerous to human life and health. Have the council vote on that by roll call vote, make that determination, and then at that point have the discussion, if it passes, on what the remedial action would be, or the council's desire. So if there's no objections to that, then is there a motion to declare the property at 2208 Coventry Lane to be a nuisance due to being structurally unsafe, a fire hazard, or otherwise dangerous to human life and health?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Open for council discussion. Okay, seeing none. Moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
Well, let's see. Help me out.
Is tapped or what?
Still not going there. Thank you.
Still working to the fairly new technology here.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. And now that takes us over to the second part. Is there a motion to order the abatement of said nuisance by removal, repair, or demolition of said property, and to require the owner of said property to abate said nuisance or submit a viable plan by March 20th, 2023?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Open for council discussion. Yes, Councilmember DeBrew.
Well, I was just concerned about that heater and the safety for the owner. Was there an opportunity to discuss with the owner the safety, Jamie, when you met with them?
When we executed the warrant, she was not home. Our code enforcement officer did return back with the notice of the hearing and also to placard the house as unsafe for occupancy. So that conversation did happen regarding not having the utilities and the concern about everything that was in it, including the heaters.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll note too,
Thank
for some that are new to the condemnation process, we've only done this a few times with council, but the goal has always been to restore the property whenever possible. So having the condemnation, when I first heard this at a previous action, I thought, oh no, condemned, it means it's going to be torn down. Not necessarily. That's a last step. Always the goal is to try to restore properties because we appreciate not just the shelter aspect of it, but the emotional attachment that people have to their homes. So looking to work with those property owners on, to say with that March 20th date being where we're mainly just looking to have a plan going forward, a realistic plan, working with staff to correct the nuisances. So yes, Councilmember Cruz.
I guess, Mr. Mayor, thank you. To that point, it says here removal, repair, or demolition. And Ms. Castle, if you could address this, or whoever could, to what point do you get to demolish? I mean, this house appears to be in a neighborhood with properties built in the 90s, 80s, not that old.
Correct.
You can gut it out and start to the studs and start over pretty easily.
I think it would determine on what the cost would be involved. All the costs would obviously be assessed to the property owner, so we'd have to evaluate where it's sitting, what the extent of work had to be done, and so an investigation would have to be done before we determined how far. At this point, we don't know what we're going to find. It's been open to the elements for quite a while, so we are concerned that demolition might have to be an option. We're not saying that is the way that it'll have to go.
My building experience, unless there's mold permeated through the whole property, you can remodel and reestablish just about anything. Just stripping the sheetrock and, if you need to rewire, water coming in, unless the roof is bad, but maybe so. But
And part of it would be an evaluation of cost too. Is it going to cost more to rebuild or to repair?
And then by who? I mean, does the property get sold, or does the current owner have to remodel, rebuild?
It would be the current owner's responsibility unless they chose to sell it.
And then if they are not able to remodel and rebuild, then you just tear it down?
That would be where it would fall, correct?
That's then a pretty low threshold to demolish in my mind, but that's just the process, so.
Yeah, and so the property owner would still own the property. If they can't afford the cost of the demolition, does that get assessed to the property taxes?
It does,
Is that a
correct.
lien,
Yep.
or?
It gets assessed to the property, and then they still own the property. It's just the building would be removed
Okay.
because of safety.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Cyrus.
that property, by looking at the photos, is a long ways from demolition. I don't think we should even consider that at this time. There'd be a lot of people that would want to clean it and fix it, and I don't know why we talk demolition. That's quite a drastic turn. I don't know what the valuation is, but it's got to be a couple $100,000 right there. So I think that's just a little extreme.
Mr. Mayor?
That's all.
Yes, Councilmember Dorian.
Oh, I just wanted to remind us what we're voting here is for a viable plan by March 20th. And not necessarily any of those options, but
Right.
just the plan.
Right. Okay, any other comments from council? All right,
Yes,
so, yes, Councilmember Gayfield.
The only thing I want to double check, I know we may have had some difficulty making this plan up to this point. Our heart goes out to the resident here. We want to work with them. So is March 20th feasible in both parties' minds to come up with a viable plan? And is there enough community support to help get this cleaned up and work with you? I believe we want to work with you. Do you think we can do that by March 20th as the date that's in here? It sounds relatively possible. Okay.
So with that, it's been moved and seconded to order abatement of the nuisance by removal, repair, or demolition of said property, and to require the owner of said property to abate that nuisance or submit a viable plan by March 20th, 2023. It's been motion and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
Can I just ask one question
Okay,
before we
since
have
we've
a
not
vote?
taken votes yet.
Sorry. So as long as, I guess I feel the same way as Councilmember Ganfield. You know, we want to work with you. We want to make sure that if you can get your property clean and safe, we want you to be there. So as long as communication lines stay open and there's some movement forward, are we committed to continuing to help, as long as, even if it's not, because I do worry that, you know, viable plan is a little subjective, you know, so I worry that if everything's not in place by then, I just want to make sure, as long as we're proactive with the communication and easily able to communicate, that we're going to work, and then I'll be pretty supportive of it.
Yep. So as Mayor said, our goal isn't to have these buildings demolished. Our goal is to make sure that they can stay in their home and that it's corrected. But we do need a viable plan so that it doesn't get drawn out. We do have history of other projects where it's just continued to drag and drag. So we want to make sure that it's a plan that's feasible and will be completed. And so as long as we can receive that and we know that the timeline's going to work and communication is there, that's probably the number one thing, is that the communication is open.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I just have
ahead.
a comment, and I think we're all human, and we can feel for the person. We also need to remember there are people living next to that structure. So we also need to remember the health and safety of all those involved in that area. So I just want to make sure that, I think that's why it's important to have a timeline and stick with it, because it is more than just one person affected by what's going on in a neighborhood.
Mhm.
I think we all can relate, because we all probably live in a neighborhood.
Thank you. Councilor Cruz.
To whoever can answer this, does the city have a helping hand, a list of social services that we can direct people to, you know, Habitat for Humanity? I don't know, just church groups, what have you. Is there something that we do to help the process along for the individuals?
So about a year ago, because these have been popping up throughout all of Blackhawk County, a coalition was started, and we meet on a monthly basis talking about what situations we have, what resources are available, and so there is that group that I have been working with to provide resources and answers, and some of it's to help the city to answer questions that we may not be able to answer, others just to provide resources for the citizens.
Funding and grants and what have you.
Yep.
Okay, great, thanks.
Any other questions? You're looking at that, then it's been moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just didn't see it. There we go. I want to see it on the screen there. So that does pass, and we will look to see through city staff that plan, and wish you the very best, Ms. Walker, to remediate your home. So moving on to item 3, is a public hearing on a proposal to enter into agreement for private development to consider conveyance of certain city-owned real estate to McDonald Construction Remodeling, LLC. Is there a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any written communications filed on the item?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. And tonight for staff comments, we have Mr. Shane Graham, Economic Development Coordinator for the city. So the floor is yours, sir.
On the agenda tonight is an agreement for private development with McDonald Construction and Remodeling. They're proposing to construct an 8,400 square foot building for their wall framing business. This project will occur on Lot 15 of the Northern Cedar Falls Industrial Park Phase 1 addition. This property will have a project valuation of $750,000 and a minimum assessed valuation of $883,000, including the land. Again, this is going to be in our Northern Cedar Falls Industrial Park, Lot 15. It's going to be on Railway at the north end of the park, located just to the east of the Regional Stormwater Detention Basin, north of the co-op. McDonald Construction and Remodeling is a framing contractor. They are looking to locate in the Northern Cedar Falls Industrial Park to allow for their expansion of their business. They do wall assembly. This site itself would work well for them. It's a longer and narrower lot, and they need access. They need 2 access points to the property for semi-deliveries for wall panels. So this lot works really nice for what the developer's needs are. So for the incentives, the city's looking to, again, donate the property at no cost. However, since the valuation is going to be under $1 million, as I've noted earlier in our work session, there will be no tax incentives involved in this project at all. So staff is recommending approval. If approved, the contractor or the developer would like to get started on this project right away this spring with completion within the next 9 to 12 months.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Graham.
Thank you.
And does the applicant wish to speak tonight? Not required? Okay. Excellent. So then moving from staff comments and applicant comment over to public comments, does anyone from the public wish to speak on the item? Okay, seeing none, then I'll consider the public hearing closed and move us over to Part 3E, which is the resolution approving and authorizing execution of an agreement for private development and approving and authorizing construction of a quitclaim deed conveying certain city-owned real estate to McDonald Construction and Remodeling, LLC. Is there a motion for that item?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Open for council questions or discussion. Seeing none, then moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Congratulations. The item does pass and moves us over to item 4, which is a public hearing on the proposed plans, specifications, and form of contract and estimate of cost for the 2023 sanitary sewer rehabilitation project. Is there a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
Second.
Moved and seconded. And do we have any written communications filed for this, Madam Clerk?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Good, thank you, ma'am. And for staff comments tonight, we have Mr. Dave Wicke, City Engineer. The floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This public hearing is for the 2023 sanitary sewer rehabilitation project. Project consists of installing a cured-in-place pipe liner and sanitary sewer in selected areas in the city. Project involves a total of approximately 6,147 lineal feet of sewer that will be lined, and that goes along with approximately 99 sanitary sewer services within those main lines. Total estimated construction cost for this project is $235,157, and the project will be funded by the sewer rental funds.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wicke. Do we have anyone from the public who wishes to speak on the item tonight? Seeing none, then I'll consider the public hearing closed for this item and take us over to 4E, which is the resolution approving and adopting the plans, specification, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the 2023 sanitary sewer rehabilitation project. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Open to council discussion or questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Cyrus.
I have a question for Chase. We had talked about this earlier. He said I could ask him any time about sewer liners. How long do they last?
I'm going to defer to acting manager Tyler Griffin on that. It probably depends on the vendor, but some of them are around 50 years, I believe, Tyler. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe there's a design life of 50 years.
That's all I needed. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Other questions, comments? Seeing none, then.
Mayor.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Is there a warranty if they give out in less than 50, 10, 15 years? That seems like.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, that seems not so good.
Have we had any cases where they've failed?
It's,
You know?
it's just like any other product. I mean, the design life might be 50 years. Some may last 25. Some may make it to 50. Some may make it past 50. It all depends on the scenario.
Okay, fair enough. Is any other questions or comments on this? So,
I guess, Mr. Mayor?
yes, please, Councilman Gifford.
Just for full clarity, have we had these lined pipes fail in town in certain instances?
The question you asked, have we had a previously lined pipe fail?
Yep.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Councilor Schultz.
So, Mr. Schrage, I think the not roundabout question, but the question that is being alluded to is we've talked about Main Street reconstruction taking place. However, that's been after those sewer lines through Main have been lined, but we're concerned also about the life of those sewer lines nonetheless.
Correct. Those lines, I think a majority of them, Tyler can correct me, but have been lined at different times, and obviously the original pipe in areas are well over 100 years old, but the design life of the street is going to be well beyond that. I mean, 30 years of concrete or 35 plus an asphalt overlay, so on and so forth. So we're trying to get well over 50 years out of the pavement life from now.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, then it's been moved and seconded to approve and adopt the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the 2023 sanitary sewer rehabilitation project, and requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That does pass and takes us over to item 5, which is a public hearing on the proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the 2023 street construction project. Is there a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That does pass and asks now for, do we have any written communications filed for this item?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. And for staff comments, we have Dr. Ben Claypool.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Tonight is the public hearing on the 2023 street construction project. This project will involve the construction of portions of 2 city streets totaling 0.47 miles in length. The first of those 2 streets is West 18th Street, picking up from Hudson Road and going east to the previous construction limits of last year's reconstruction efforts. And then the other street is Madison Street, just on the north side of Waterloo Road from Bell Avenue to Virgil Street. Madison Street was one that was some of the phase of reconstruction just on the south side of Waterloo Road ended in 2022, and we're continuing that on the north side here with this segment. Work on this project will include the pavement removal and replacement, subgrade preparation, storm sewer and intakes, water main replacement and services, replacement of driveway approaches, subdrain, replacement of pedestrian ramps at intersections, and other modifications as required to tie into the existing storm sewer or sanitary sewer, as well as the replacement of signage and striping. The total estimated cost for construction of this project is just over $2,530,000, and the project will be funded by local option sales tax, street construction fund, sanitary sewer rental fund, general obligation fund, and CFU. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone from the public wish to speak on the 2023 street construction project? Okay, seeing none, then I'll consider this public hearing closed and take us over to item 5E, which is resolution approving and adopting the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the 2023 street construction project. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions from or comments from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I guess I'd like to just double check and see that we've calculated in all of the inflation rates. So how confident are you in this estimate coming in with about a 5% fluctuation?
Correct. The estimate is done to the best of our ability, tracking the price increases over the last few years, ensuring that we've factored that to, like I said, the best of our ability. So it's been noted, and we've tried to account for that with, in particularly, like the water main prices and some of the specific items we've seen really go up. So, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, then it's been moved and seconded for approving and adopting the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of costs for the 2023 street construction project, and requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And now that takes us over to our final public hearing item, which is item 6, a public hearing on the proposed plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the North Cedar Heights area reconstruction project, Phase 1. Is there a motion, receive and file, approve of publication?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes as well. And Madam Clerk, do we have any written communications for this?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. And for staff comments, again, we have Mr. Dave Wiki.
Okay, good evening once again, Mayor, Council. This public hearing is for the North Cedar Heights area reconstruction project. This is Phase 1. This is Phase 1 of a multiple phase project for reconstructing the North Cedar Heights area. Project for Phase 1 consists of reconstructing Timber Drive from Grand Avenue to Greenwood Avenue and West Ridgewood Drive from Greenwood Avenue to Cherry Lane. The work includes reconstruction of the water main, storm sewer, sanitary sewer, slope repairs, and installation of new 8-inch subdrain and asphalt pavement with concrete curb and or edging. And there'll be concrete intersections at the major street intersections. Estimated cost for this project is $3,965,000. Project will be funded by local option sales tax, street construction fund, sanitary sewer rental fund, and general obligation bonds.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wiki. Does anyone from the public wish to speak on this? Seeing none, then I'll consider this public hearing closed and take us over to 6E, which is the resolution approving and adopting the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the North Cedar Heights area construction project, Phase 1. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
It's been moved to approve and open for council questions and discussion. Okay, seeing none, then it's been moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And that takes us over out of our special order of business and into the consent calendar, where these items will be acted upon by a voice vote in a single motion without separate discussion, unless someone from the council or public requests that a specific item be considered separately. We certainly are very welcome to talk individual items if you wish. Does any council member request to pull an item from 7 to 14, with the exception of 8, which we've already approved? Okay, seeing none. Does anyone from the public wish to pull items 7 or 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14? Okay, seeing none. So is there a motion to approve that consent calendar for items? Yep,
Second.
items listed. Okay. Moved and seconded and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, those do all pass, which brings us over to the resolution calendar, where these items will be acted upon by roll call vote on a single motion without separate discussion, unless someone from the council or the public requests that a specific item be considered separately. Does any council member request to pull an item 16 through 27? Okay, seeing none. Does anyone from the public request to pull an item from 16 through 27? Okay, then is there a motion to approve the resolution calendar items 15 to 27?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now we move over to bills and claims, item 28. Is there a motion to approve
So
bills
moved.
and claims for the 6th?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any from the public? Okay, then moved and seconded, and it requires a roll call vote. Somebody, did you already get it?
I did it already.
Here they come.
There we are.
That's one.
Here it comes.
Gotta do it again.
Do it again.
Do it again, Gil.
Gil, do yours again, too.
Do it again.
Yep, so just need Ganfield, Sires, and Dunn. Excellent.
All voting aye.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
I have to apologize that you guys are a little faster than I was getting it set up. So.
Technology.
Quick draw.
So we need to roll stuff back.
So moving out of resolution calendar over to council updates and announcements. Do we have any updates or announcements to share tonight? Seeing none, then over to referrals. I saw for item 29, there's a request to refer to the Public Works Committee discussion regarding the river dam and the future of the dam on the Cedar River. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, moved and seconded, open for discussion of whether this should be sent over to the Public Works Committee for discussion. So, Councilmember Dunn, you want to share what your thoughts are?
I just feel that, you know, as we're all aware, there's been continued concerns with the ice dam. This is not a new thing. We've had this problem before in years past. I guess my request for referral is partially for education purposes. There's often times where citizens reach out with concerns about how we determine how the gates get lifted and things like that. And then I myself, I'm often curious as to, you know, what the dam offers us. I know why dams were created, and I know what value it can add upstream as far as the depth of the river. But I think it's good to have a discussion about, will we always have a dam? What options are available? So it's simply that. I guess I'm making it more difficult than what it really needs to be. I just want to have a discussion about what the future of the dam is in Cedar Falls.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Sires.
We were down there at the ice jam, Gil and Chase and I and Brian Heath. The gates were actually frozen shut and were unable to be opened on the first day. And then Brian had gone down, and I think he finally got them opened on Sunday. But they're really quite inadequate and they're quite old. And one of the things that we really need to look at, especially since at this time we're not going to do the kayak trail, I think that's the spot where we should have started anyway with the dam and have one like Waverly that goes all the way across, but then the door tips down and has an air bladder behind it. So it would really help Cottage Row and all the areas that flood to have this new kind of structure, and also we could get rid of the Lowhead Dam, which is very dangerous. I think it'd be a good time to, since we're not working on the kayak trail, to go ahead and work towards getting a new dam installed and get this done. And I'm sure Councilman Schultz probably thinks the way I do too. But that's kind of the way it is. It really needs to have something done. It's just like now the fourth gate wouldn't open all the way. So it needs repair. It's time to get something done on the dam. That's all.
Yeah, I'd want to make sure we don't get too much into the discussion of what would be part of that next presentation, because I do want to make sure that, Councilor Sires, your comments are captured in the next meeting as well.
Oh, well,
when we have
I'm
the
done.
presentation. Well, when we have the presentation, just for the public's sake, as it's saved for posterity.
We'll
So
just play
save what you said.
I'll do what I can.
Okay, thanks. Anything else that we need to discuss for moving this over to the committee?
Just to clarify that the Whitewater project is not what we're talking about not being done when Dave refers to the kayak trail. We're still moving forward with the Whitewater
But
project,
just this,
correct?
in the time frame, this year they didn't do it. They were going to do it in the winter, but it got postponed.
Mr. Gaines, is you correct?
So this, there was an option several years ago that would include the dam with the Whitewater course, And so that is not included in the current whitewater plans. Everything is essentially south or between the bridges that will be done with the kayak course. So it does not affect the dam.
Correct. And the timeline for that is still as scheduled. They're doing
Correct. So the contract-
staging of the materials now, and the work could start.
Correct. The contractor when the contract was awarded was given over a year on the contract for a completion date. So with working with a consultant to do some of the inspection, we're still looking at getting started a little later this year.
Okay, so any other questions?
Mr.
before-
Mayor?
Yes, just to be able to move this to
I understand.
vote on the
Mayor,
referral.
Councilman Cruz, didn't you say that we were going to move forward with that sooner, but we couldn't get inspections on it?
It's an evolving, changing item as far as I understand. Material has been brought in, but then delays on the in-the-water engineering and supervision.
So it was delayed.
So again, I think we're at a point where we can vote on the referral that Councilmember Dunn brought forward. If there's any other thing to talk about, we're getting very much into details about the dam project, and I didn't mean to do that, but I'm glad I did.
That was awesome.
I'll never get that chance again. So sorry. Anyway, so do we have enough information? Do we feel comfortable that yes, we do want to move this forward to committee? That's all we're asking here.
The dam project?
On the dam project.
That's okay.
Yes. Thank you. So
I have
anything
to
else?
On the fun too, yeah.
And so any comment would be that because you don't want to have this discussed.
You don't.
Okay. All right. We got to stop. All right. So it's been moved and seconded to refer this to the Public Works Committee regarding the river dam and the future of the dam on the Cedar River. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll have that dam discussion. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.